constitutional rights are totally violated. But in that case, I didn't scream, "You raped me," because she did the standard thing where they go up your leg. She did not go into my vagina, which is just obscene and horrible. So I screamed, "You raped me, you sexually violated me." I called my boyfriend. I was terribly upset. And then I blogged about it when I got home. And I blogged this woman's name. Because I don't think if you do this, you're wearing a name tag as an emissary of the government, that you get to be scot-free about it, that we need to name the people who are committing crimes against us. And I think anybody who works for the government searching you without probable cause, by the way, is a criminal and should be named. It's not just somebody who goes much further like this woman did, as I believe, in a punitive way. That's my belief, that she intended to punish me for not going quietly and being one of the we the sheeple, like so many people who go pleasantly, compliantly, and politely.
Well, we're talking to one of the latest in a long line of victims, advice columnist and author, Amy Alcon. Amy, you know, there's so many facets to this, but an FBI agent can't walk up in a park and stick their hands down your pants, or even on the outside. It's a felony. It is sexual assault, and it is confirmed. Last year, when we first started exposing this, they were even doing this to young girls and boys. The TSA came out and said we weren't telling the truth till all these videos got released. They are ripping colostomy bags off old men, urology bags. I hate to get into all this. They are making women take out piercings that are in their breast with pliers themselves. They are laughing at people. They are asking women out for dates. A bunch of them have been busted being pedophiles. And the social engineers know that if they can get away with this, they can get away with anything. And the nightmare just goes on and on. And then they always say, oh, Miss USA is being extreme. It's not that bad. Well, I've been with Jesse Ventura, the former governor of Minnesota, working on his TV show with him. And I've watched him saying, this is why I spend most of the year in Mexico. This is East Germany. And now he will not fly, so he has to drive around in a RV for the next season of it. I'm getting to where I won't fly. We're about to buy an RV. Right before we went live here, I was in there looking at used buses and RVs because of this. And then they say, oh, you know, you should get over it. In any culture in the world, this is insane. You know, in Ventura's lawsuit, and I watched it happen to him, they went into his butt cheeks, and that's what his lawsuit says, and actually start checking. Let me make sure there's nothing in there, like it's a prison check, and start. Ron Paul, a congressman's talked about it. He's a medical doctor. They grab his genitals and squeeze them. And men and women describe this as being lifted off the ground. They go in to check. They make women go and take tampons off. I'm sorry to start ranting here. It's just that this is so insane. And in closing, and then I want to get your comments on it. Then they try to deny this. You know, first they said we're not on the outside of the pants. Then we're not on the inside. I have witnessed them go in the pants, and the pilots last year said, we're quitting. We're not going to fly anymore. So they stopped it with them. Grown men were going and throwing up. And people said, oh, don't be a wimp. Look, being sexually violated, having people touch sexual organs when you don't want it is the ultimate violation. It's a form of serious torture that they used it on people in Abu Ghraib. I'm sorry, but you're a victim, and now they're trying to persecute you, which shows what type of just terrorists the TSA are.
We cannot go quietly. And the thing is, this is absolutely a power grab. And the reason we know this is security, not security. The TSA has not stopped one terrorist attempt on the United States. The only ones that actually were stopped by accident or by passengers, like the panty bomber whose detonator broke. I mean, and there is nobody who's going to take out a box cutter and bring down a plane, because those big American men are going to take that guy down, or that woman, in the case that it's a woman. So this is all about making us docile. So when we have our rights taken in other situations, we're quietly compliant. And my question to everyone is, why aren't you all sobbing at the TSA? Why aren't you all screaming and crying? We have this Constitution. We benefit from it. You don't get to sit there and watch as it's ripped up at the airport door.
Well, Amy Alcon, let me throw this at you just real quick. I talked to a young woman today, and now I'm talking to other people and confirming this is happening. An entire family was basically put through the body scanners. They made this woman do it twice. A 17-year-old. It failed, so then they groped her, and the family was all sitting, putting their clothes back on, their shoes back on. they left the area, and a TSA walked over, she described, with his hands behind his back, like he was a Nazi officer, and said, "Are you angry?" And they said, "Well, no." And he said, "Good, because you are being watched," and clicked his heels and walked off. So it's this new harassment. "Oh, you didn't like us touching your genitals. You didn't like us sticking your fingers into your buttocks to make sure nothing's in there. You didn't like it. Well, guess what? I'm trained to pick out thought criminals just by looking at you." I mean, this is so Orwellian. And then,
it really is.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Really is. And, you know, they have this, I don't have the exact code. I don't think I can find it right now. But they have this code that says you can't say anything. You can't you can't speak up. You know, you can't do anything to sort of make the process not go easily for them. Well, is our First Amendment gone now, too, with the Fourth? Is that the next to go? And the way this woman is suing me because I named names on my blog. I mean, it's absolutely
Well, I mean,
crazy.
is she suing you yet, or is she threatening to sue you?
No, I'm sorry. It's a letter of demand right now. So she sent me this letter of demand. But I have to say, this morning at my gate, I had a sweet old man my landlord hires to mow the lawn, and somebody tried to get past him and actually was impersonating a police officer. I think he said, "I'm with the police." I can't quite remember because I was all upset, you know, but the guy didn't let him in. The gardener didn't let him in. And I said, you know, "Don't let him in. Don't let him lock the gate." You know, and so I think they're trying to serve me now.
Well, they're going on the offensive. They've come out against Matt Drudge, Big Sis has. And she says, "There's nothing Orwellian. You're just flat wrong." And they tell Congress, "There's no radiation." And then we get this test, and they're not even following federal law on radiology. And there's huge cancer clusters. And what they're building is, they're building an army of people that will do whatever they're told. And I've talked to TSA agents. They've come to rallies I've had in Austin against the TSA. And they say, "Look, I just wanted a job." And then slowly they get you indoctrinated. But they said now they call you behind closed doors and say, "Are you worried about radiation? Are you not wanting to touch genitals?" And if they say yes, they say, "Thank you." And then 2 weeks later, pink slip you. So what they're doing is building an army of people that'll do whatever they're told.
Right. Yeah. It's really disgusting. I was going to add that I read Napolitano came out and said the scanners, they've been tested to be safe. And I think it was Johns Hopkins came out and they said, "Well, no, actually, we didn't say that we tested them to be safe." You know, there's all this stuff that comes out, and there's something recently that came out, I think through EPIC, saying that that the scanners were not even meant to be used on humans. And it's so crazy. And people are just going through them. People think that the government will protect them. And as a libertarian and a civil libertarian, and somebody who reads the paper all the time, I know that that's not true, and it's increasingly not true.
Well,
and
it's worse
scary.
than that. I now have video from Fox News in upstate New York and Tennessee where they have National Guard under TSA command with huge roadside scanners that are industrial, because they've had them on the border for decades, and they roll your car over rollers. The Border Patrol is in armored lead buildings with cameras, and they run cars through looking for drugs or other things. Now they just have them on the side of the highway and have families drive right through them, and they're roughly 100 times more powerful than a chest X-ray. So insanity has gotten into the federal government. Amy, the blog, of course, is something everybody should visit, advicegoddess.com. People should certainly stand up for your First Amendment. They're probably going to try to intimidate you and get you to settle, and they're going to technically say, you know, doing our duty is not rape when the government does it. But I think that you just demand a jury, take it all the way, and say, is someone and they admittedly do this. I don't know about your case, but I do know that they go up into the labia and they do check to see if anything's in there. This is the beginning of cavity searches, and if a cavity search is not sexual assault, then I don't know what is. I mean, this is a new precedent where we don't just microwave you, but we're going to give you a cavity search.
Crazy, absolutely crazy, and wrong. And I just urge people, if anybody gets anything out of what I did, I'm just a little person. I just want to, I'm concerned about the whole, and I want people to get the message they need to speak up. When their rights are being violated, don't take them for granted, because we're just a few steps away from a police state if everyone starts doing that.
Oh, I think we're a few hundred miles deep into a police state, and it's getting more and more insane by the minute. And you know, a lot of these TSA people have been basically indoctrinated into this culture where they think that what they're doing is okay and good, and it's painful for them when people are upset and cry.
And it should be. And you know what? They do not deserve, when you're, it's like the Germans that said I was just doing my job or whatever they said. You do not deserve to have a job like this, to earn money like this, violating people's rights.
Just following orders.
Pardon?
Just following my orders.
Right, exactly. In New York, I worked as a bike messenger. I worked as a substitute chicken handing out flyers on the street. I was a mover. I have the arms of an 8-year-old child. I mean, I had terrible jobs because I didn't have any money, but I for sure wouldn't take a job, no matter how well paying, where I was paid to violate people's rights hour by hour, day by day, take home a paycheck 40 hours a week. And how can you be proud about that?
Well, what's crazy, Amy, is what comes around goes around. They're in there with the scanners, scanning the luggage being radiated. That's been coming out for 30 years. And they're now radiating you, but they're the ones that are cooking. And just laughing at us isn't going to protect them. It turns out internally the TSA is freaking out. Every time I fly to Austin, they want my autograph. Other parts of the country, there's some of them that just want a job and are upset. There's others that are on power trips. But we've got to stand up against them, and I salute your courage, and we're going to watch this case as it develops. People should go to your site and buy copies of your latest book to support you because you're obviously under attack. God bless you, and we appreciate you spending time with us.
Thank you very much, and thanks for what you do.
We'll continue. Well, we'll either hang together or hang separate. Thank you, Amy. We're going to go to break now, ladies and gentlemen, and come back with another big move in the police state. Mr. Allison, the gentleman who recorded and videotaped police at public events and told them he was, and is now facing life in prison in southern Illinois. And you may be thinking it's just a boss hog small town. Well, think again. The state prosecutors have come down and they say, yes, we think this is reasonable. Life in prison if you film us. And we've talked to people on the street in Austin and ran into a cop from Europe who told us that he thinks it's reasonable as well because he doesn't like being videotaped. So life in prison. We'll be right back.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
In the near future, Earth is dominated by a powerful world government.
Is known as the Bilderberg Group. Could their objective be world domination?
For thousands of years, their dark order grew. Now, as they hail the birth of the New World Order, their great dream of exterminating 80% of humanity is at hand. For the first time in history, the elite's plan for world government is blown wide open. You will learn the secret that drives the entire New World Order agenda.
Bilderberg is making great progress toward a world government, and only an educated, informed public can stop them in their tracks.
Alex, it's Chalabi, eh?
For the first time, all the pieces have been put together. The dots have been connected, and the picture is crystal clear. Earth's ruling elite believe they have discovered the fountain of youth. But before they can attain it, 80% of us must die. A psychopathic technocracy is establishing world government so there can be no escape from their plan.
The New World Order is the old world order. I mean, it's just the names have changed, the appearances have changed.
Most people have no idea. They're not after money. They have all the money they need. They're after power. That's their aphrodisiac.
I was pulled out of a plane in Munich. They interrogated me for 4 hours. Some shots were fired.
I need you to move off the property.
Their great dream of exterminating 80% of humanity is at hand. Endgame, blueprint for global enslavement. You have been warned. You have found it, the front lines in the Infowars Nightly News. Learn more and subscribe at prisonplanet.tv or infowarsnews.com. Now, Sheriff Richard Mack is coming up a little bit later, but first I want to get into this report dealing with the IRS. Now, I first saw this a few years ago in England being proposed, and now in the U.S., that your paycheck be put automatically in a bank account, and the government's already snooping on your bank accounts without warrants, and that they take